Craft left here for this invasion after the counter-air, and I have these tanks. Your defense is a 2 for defense, 1 for the beach. You lose one, you're a 2. So you're just a 2 there. So if I put 1 tank on there and 3 aircraft, that's a 4. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll save 1 aircraft back here. So I still have 1. And I'm putting 3 into the attack. And you can put 3 times the amount of troops you have. I have 1 factor troops, so that works out good. We are rolling a 2 to 1 on that. And I got a 2. That's a counterattack. 1 to 2. And that's an attacker dies. So that hits like that. This plane flies home. Excuse me. One last change on the Philippines. Again, this is why we practice. I know I have the stuff. I just didn't bring it right. This needs to come over with 4 tanks. And I had 4 ships remaining. That's why I was still wondering why I had 4 ships remaining. There's only 1 ship remaining now. And these are all spent. Because it's supposed to bring 5 factors over. 1 attack the beach like it did, and the 4 exploit in. And we're taking a 1 to 1 on the Philippines. And it's a 2. Counterattack 1 to 2. And it's a 2. What is that? That's an exchange. Okay. I lose an armor. Americans lose that. And we have Manila. Okay. We took the offensive in the southeast front. And now we are taking the attrition right here. Now, the Flying Tigers cut the supply to that beach after the supply determination phase, because they're determined to get rid of that. But I'm going to try the attrition and get 2 men off there, because I'm going to lose the bridgehead. So here comes the attrition die roll. And I just need a 1 or a 2. And I got a 1. Wow. That means the British died. The supply is cut. So that's correct. The beachhead can be lost, and units in a port or 1 hex islands, and this is a 1 hex island and a port, and this is a port, are not eliminated due to being unsupplied. So, however, we can't overstack there with the attrition. So, being out of supply, he does eliminate another infantry unit. But at least I killed the British unit there. Attrition up here. Now I don't get those, but I do get these. 1, 2, 6 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19. Let me throw another one on here. This one's going to go down. I can't let that go down. Wow. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got to do that. I only need 1 factor to attrition that. It's the one that died. The other 3 goes for the nationalists. That's what it is. So 3 here, and all this is 21 on the nationalist table. And it's a 4. And it's 2 counters. And then the commies on the 10 table. And it's a 5. That's 1 counter. Yeah, we have to do that. So I took a thing out of here. I took 2 units away. I got to get 2 in there when I build. So all in all, the Japanese, I knew it would take 2 turns to get this. I knew it would take 2 turns to get Singapore. That's okay. And the Australian unit will cut supply, because you're allowed to do supply in the beginning of your turn, And then after combat phase, you can run supply, or choose to say you're running supply to a spot. And the Australians say, no you don't, we cut it. So we save a ship there. It helps protect Darwin. It's going to have to do a little more effort. And we just put this here to remind us that we're isolated. And we have another isolated unit here. And we have another isolated unit sitting in Hong Kong. And another isolated unit there. So those are our isolated units so far out here. Now, the rule is after the combat phase, in an island group, if you're the only country that has troops there, all the islands automatically fall to you. So, and ships count. So since we have a ship returning to this base here, Guam automatically falls without a fight. So Guam is now in Japanese territory. So this island belongs to Japan. This one always has. Japan. Japan, we took this. This island group falls to us. So, like I said, we're going to start advancing here. We want this area. This whole area would be nice for me and Wake. And there's the dead for the Allies this turn. We lost 3 ships. So the Japanese lost 2 elite aircraft, 3 ships, 2 land-based aircraft, and then those infantry. So, yeah, considerable losses. And the Allies lost this. A bunch of cheap stuff, but they did fall. We're going to get 2 turns in a row. So, we are going to... We need to SR troops, because I have no ships. So when I make my builds, I need to SR troops down here, because we got to take Singapore next turn. I need to reinvade Balikpapan to take that. I want to take Rabaul, and I want to take Wake Island. So I have to have my men set up in ports for those. So I'm going to just go through unit construction and SRs, and then I'll come back when I'm done with the Japanese turn. Okay, so I was able to spend $7. It leaves me down to 23 BRPs. And this is what I have left right here. Couldn't buy the ship. I had lost 2 elite aircraft. But once the elite aircraft are gone, you take them off and you replace them with regular naval aircraft. Couldn't buy the plane back. Couldn't buy this tank. And I have those infantry left. I was able to SR some troops here. I did 9 SRs. SR some troops there. I SR'd some planes over here and some planes out here. Other than that, I SR'd a troop into there. I am set up to attack Wake. I have men in ports, but in my movement next turn, I got to move ships around. So, but I'm set up. I have men ready to hit Wake and Rabaul. Not Port Moresby yet. I'm going to see what I can do on Darwin, because I just want to come over here and strike this. Before I invade it, I want to take this. So among my invasions here, I'm going to occupy that. I want to take Kandari and Ambrosia. I want these 3 to be set up for search modifiers. I'll get planes on them. I'll get planes here. I want this defensive line right here when he tries to come in through New Guinea. But with these, I can defend Dili when I take that. From here, I want to hit this. So Darwin's my main objective. Go ahead and take the Chinese turn, and when I'm all done with them, I'll let you know what's going on. Chinese turn, I tried to eliminate this infantry here. I took a 1-to-1, and I rolled a 5. That means all the attacker died, or the attacker lost 4 troops. Coupled with the Japanese attrition against them, they had to buy back 6 infantry. And the communists get their 1 back. And they took an attrition, the communists missed, and the nationalists killed 2 infantry. So there's 2 more infantry to the pull. And that wraps up, my friend, 1941 winter turn. And we move to the year start sequence, 1942. Okay, for the 1942 year start sequence, I'm not going to go over it, but I've already done it. I've allocated the research points, allocated the diplomatic points. I'm not going to go over that stuff in detail because we've already been covering it. Let's do the SW construction phase though. The Germans are allowed to spend 35. Now this is the time the Americans are going to start bombing, or the British, so I think I'm going to spend, out of that 35, 4 of those BRPs on 2 more interceptors. I'm going to have 3 interceptors total. 1 each will go in each of the first 3 turns. The rest, that leaves me 31 BRPs. I'm going to build 31 submarines. That's 31, and the 7 I have here, that's 38. Divided among the 4 turns, it would be 7 times 4, 8 times 4, 9 times 4. It'd be 9 times, you get 9 submarines in each turn, plus an extra one in the front too. So let's set that up. The Germans. Let's go to the Americans and the British. Now the Americans are allowed to construct SW units normally. So we know they had 3 fleets left over. Looks like the Americans and the British have 29 BRPs to spend. So, and because I have big plans, you know, the British and Americans, they have to be very aggressive and start conquering the Axis at their weakest spots. So I want those American fleets out of there. So let's see what I can build. I already have 3. I can build 29. I know the Germans were up to 30, so I know they're at least getting 9 to 10 submarines. I think we're going to go all ASW this year, as much as we can. So let's go with, I have 29. Half of that, I'm going to be able to build 14 ASW factors, plus the 3 there. I'm going to have 17 ASW factors. Divided among the 4 is going to be 4 ASW in each, except each turn, except an extra one in the first turn, up to 5. Wow. I better keep 2 American fleets in there. 1 American fleet I will send home. And so let's do that. British and Americans, now they're going to be pretty weak, but the British still have 16 fleet factors that are destroyed. They need to get another 9 and probably get it in there to help out, but that's all we can do right there. Let's go to the Pacific side. In the SW warfare, it's handled a little differently. All fleets and submarines and ASW factors put in the SW box here are revealed. They're always in the open, and then you just divide quarterly when you use them. But the interceptors and the bombers, they're kept separate. So what we need to do is, over here, anytime submarines attack a naval activity, you can take losses from the SW box instead of taking your losses off the board. So we try to cushion that in the SW box as much as we can. Now, because we're hard pressed with ships in the beginning, when we first build our SW forces, I'll put maybe 4 to 5 fleets in the SW box for the US, and probably the same amount for the Japanese. And then the rest are submarines. We may want to buy some ASW to start destroying submarines, because you don't want them to, same like the European side, if they build all submarines and you don't destroy any, then he's going to have so many left for the next year. So you need to have a good amount of forces evenly over here. So let's go with the Japanese first. The Japanese are allowed to build 22 BRP's worth of stuff. So I think we're going to go with 4 Japanese fleets will be on SW duty, and then the 22, it's almost a half. I think I'm going to go about 7, 8 submarines and the rest ASW. So if that's 12, I get 6 ASW. That would be 12, that'd be 10 subs. I think I'll go more than that. Give me 2 more. I'll go 8 submarines and 7 ASW factors. So 6 ASW factors, 8 submarines is 12 and 8. That's only 20. I'm allowed 2 more. Let's go 7 ASW. The Americans will divert divert 4 ships for ASW warfare. That leaves 4 out here. 4 left there. And then ASW factors, the Americans can spend 13. Let's go 4, that's 8. Let's go 4 ASW, that's 8 BRPs. That leaves me 5, I can get 5 submarines. So 4 ASW and 5 submarines. American, they put 4 fleets in there, 4 ASW and 5 submarines. So the SW construction phase is complete, and we will move to the research phase. Give you a rundown what happened on research. The submarines finally came through. They get a +1 to their strategic warfare rolls. Now remember, the Allies have a -1 in ASW, so that cancels out. But they can even go higher. They'll get a +4 if they try another one. The Italian Airborne gets added to the force pool. We increase the SR level of the Italians or the Germans. Either one can use it. They get an extra SR. The code breaking, the Japanese did code breaking again, and they took another 1 less magic draw from the US. They are able to build forts, and they get a +1 to their air defense rolls. So that was all research for the Axis. See what the Allies got. Russians went for covert, and they missed, but they get a +2 to their die roll next time. ASW, we left it right there. Britain went for covert, and they missed. They only got a +1. But the bombers came through big time. They got the 18 through 21 category. That means the range in bombing for the Americans is 10 hexes now over here. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They can take Marcus Island and start bombing. That's why I didn't buy bombers right now. Because I don't plan on probably getting that this year. So, but next year I'm going to start bombing. And then the Russians did get forts. Okay, so the next phase is the diplomatic phase. On the diplomacy, we had put 2 in Finland, and we got Finland. And we had put 5 in the Ukraine, and we got the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians are allowed to go from this row to this river to this row. So they can go anywhere in this area only. And it's the red-gray pieces there. So I put them on the board. And the Finns are on the board. 10 BRPs and 10 BRPs. But these 10 BRPs are immediately added to the German force pool, because that's a German minor ally. These ones will not be added till the next year start sequence. So Germans have more forces. They have a lot of forces over here now to deal with the Russians. And that's what I wanted. The Allies, they are protecting Egypt. The Russians tried to put one in Finland, but it didn't help. They're protecting Iraq. They're protecting Persia. The Russians had put 2 in the Ukraine, but it didn't help. And that's it. So they didn't pick anything. They're all on defense. That's it of the SW phase, the research phase, the diplomatic phase. Let's go ahead and draw magic points. Now, just because, like the Americans, they want to do code breaking too for their magic, but they had a couple categories in there that they needed to pick, so they went after something else first before they do their code breaking. Now, the Americans draw 2 less. However, the Americans do have 1 code breaking, so that's only 1 less. So instead of drawing 3 now, the Americans can only draw 2 magic points. I'm going to take 2 out of the box. Let's see what they are. And out of the 2 they draw, now of course the Japanese wouldn't know this, but they have 1 magic point and 1 missed. So that's as good as they got last turn, drawing 3. That's the magic draw. The American BRPs go up for being at war in the European side. They go up 20. 1, 2. And then they go up 10 on the Europe side. Still only 10 because they're not at war. Supply determination phase. The Germans are first. Let's see if they get anything added to their force pool right now in 42. Spring of 42, another 9 fleet is added. So there's still 2 9 fleets there that they can build. And that is it. Nothing else for the Germans. The Italians have nothing else. And let's see the Japanese. The Japanese, yes, declaration +1. That means they declared war last time. This turn is +1. They will add a CVL, 5 naval air factors, and 5 army air factors. To that, they get to add 5 more 2-2 infantry, which are most certainly going to go for the defense of their rich BRP area they just took and to fight out here in the Pacific. And then 1 more Marine, or their special naval landing force, which is very helpful. So that's it for the Axis buildup, and we'll worry about the Allies when we take the Allies' turn. So we are ready for the first 1942 spring turn. The Germans and the Italians go first. The Japanese are at war, so they are added in with the Germans and the Italians. The Axis tension table, we have 2 for the spring turn, and we take an offensive in the Eastern Front. We decided not to take one down here. I'm going to try to get this hex just through an attrition. I got cut off Italian units. So the movement's done. Now remember the spring turn, I can't take exploitations or overruns. So I moved everything up to the front, and I'm going to try to kill as many Russian units as I can. Remember, I can get more Russian troops on my side for every 10 factors I kill. Now, as we march into this area, I don't want the Russians coming around my flank here, so Sevastopol has to fall. It'll probably be at its weakest right now, so I want to take it. That's why I got all this down. It takes quite a bit, but I got to do it. And then the only thing I have to watch is my flank here at the beach. So we are going to do this, and I'll come back after the attack is done. I spent a limited offensive down here with the Italians. We're going to counter-air this British air, which it will decline the combat. They're allowed to do that in Malta, so nobody's losing aircraft there. Because I want to SR. I'm not going to send oil in here. These planes are inactive right now. But I have dead I need to send down, and I'm probably going to lose these. But I have the German North Africa Corps I need to SR down here, so that's what I'll be going for. Finished our attacks all the way up and down the front. I did a 4-6 switch around on 1-2-1, and I didn't get Rostov right there. On another one I went 1-1. I took like 3 1-1s, and 2 of them I had exchanges, 1 of them I failed. So these losses right here, a couple tanks, 2 3-3 infantry, and 1 2 and 4 minor infantry corps. So not a great attack there, but the Germans just tried to destroy whatever they can. We brought the Finns in up there. Down here I took the attrition. It was a terrible roll, so I lost my cut-off units out of supply. So they're gone. British are backing the Italians up there. And we are going to go to the construction and SR phase, then I'll come back. Now, the U.S. is not at war yet with the Germans, so they don't add in their BRPs, so the Allies don't get 2 turns in a row yet. As soon as the U.S. adds their BRPs in when they're at war, the Allies are going to get 2 turns in a row. But according to our tension table, and I can't find anywhere where you add any kind of tension points because of the Japanese attacking the U.S. in the Pacific. There is one thing here, it says the Far East event modifier. It says +4 if the Japanese attack the Dutch East Indies and Britain's far eastern possessions prior to the outbreak of war between Japan and the U.S. Well, they didn't do that prior to the outbreak of war. They did it at the same time. They went to war at the same time, so that isn't a +4. So there's no turn flip-flop, and that's perfect for the Germans. So we're going to build and just worry about getting a double line so the Russians can't break through anywhere. Well, the Germans built everything they had. They have 2 dead ships remaining. Those are all allowable builds. Now, they lost a plane because down here we tried to SR an Italian infantry, an Italian tank, and a German tank through here. The British came out with everything they had here, here, and their subs. I had 3 aircraft available to attack. We attacked with everything we had and counter-intercepted. Of course, we lost every battle. I ended up losing about 4 Italian ships and an Italian aircraft and a German aircraft. The British lost 2 British ships and 1 submarine. But they stopped the SRs. They had to return home. But we lost ships that we couldn't afford. So we lost that 1-3 Libyan Corps too. So the Mighty Africa Corps, I got built the partisans, put them back, but the Africa Corps is dwindling. Not looking good down there. I can't get troops down there. So we were able to buy 2 more Russian separatist troops because of the dead. So, and Germans just killed everything they could. And that's it for the Germans and Italians. Now the Japanese get to move with them. So we now move to the spring Japanese turn. So it's their 2nd turn in a row. It took me 30 minutes just to move the Navy. So that's all I've done is the movement of the Navy and patrols. No ground units, just to show you what I had to think of here. Now all the ships we had plastered around, they really don't need to be sitting there anymore. Now right here was Task Force 2. I made 2 Task Force out of it. I split it and I moved Task Force 2 over here. It's on top of 4 Japanese infantry units now. Task Force 2 and Task Force 2 is made up of those 15 fleets and 1 carrier. It's coming to invade Wake. It has an extra 3 ships to be used for shore bombardment. The Task Force 3 came over here because after I moved it out here, I moved a 6th fleet to here because it's going to take these 2 units and it's going to invade Rabaul. I have to watch the 4 British ships there. That's why the patrol's there. If the 4 British ships want to move out, Task Force 3, which has 2 carriers and those 3 ships there, I think is more than enough to handle those British ships. We'll go for a fight. Now, if the British ships, they know the Japanese are going to come in to attack this. If I airstrike that, the British fleets are in a much stronger defensive position sitting in Singapore. That's why I'm not airstriking it. And the British, if they don't come out and fight, then when Singapore gets taken, they're just going to retreat to Colombo, and that's what I want with the British. If I'm the British, that's what I want to do. So I'm not going to come out and try to fight these new invasions because I'd rather just send the ships home. So Task Force 3 and Task Force 2 got split for those purposes. Now, out here, I split up Task Force 1. Task Force 1 had the 6 carriers. Because if the Americans decide to send their ships out to intercept this invasion at Wake, I need a task force here to deal with it. And I left Task Force 4 to deal with that. I left 2 carriers, because I know the Americans have 2 carriers, and an equal amount of ships. In other words, it's going to be a pretty even battle, but I don't think the Americans are going to come out and do that. And if they do, I don't get Wake right away. Oh well. So, we'll see how that goes. And the Americans' range is 13 from Pearl Harbor, so the chances of him succeeding, he has to get a 1 to intercept, is going to be slim. So that's why I just left those 2 carriers and ships there. I think that'll be okay. Now, the other ones I have to be concerned about is Australia still has a ship here and a ship here. So I moved Task Force 1 into position there. Being into position, I can intercept the fleets coming out here to stop the Rabaul invasion, or if they try to go out and stop the Wake invasion. Plus, I have another invasion set up here at 3 and 1-2 that I want to come over and take this city at the Solomon Islands, because from here I could take Guadalcanal next. So this task force is to stop that and to watch this at the same time. But right now I'm going to conduct airstrikes, and he can still decide to intercept in between the airstrikes. So I'm going to airstrike. I can't reach that one, but I really want Darwin. I want to eliminate this ship and that airplane. So I want to airstrike Darwin right now. And that's all the ship moves. I left 14 ships. To me, that's a good number to leave in Japan. 14 ships for SR duties. I can take a lot of those pieces and get them out here where I need to go. I need to get some down here on Philippines because we'll have partisans to deal with. These 2 are leaving, so I need to get somebody here. I need to get somebody on these bases. I need to get forces out here on Ball and Popkin. I need to get forces all in this area for my defense. So 14 ships. I can't really afford more. I wish I could, but with at least that I can SR 7 troops a turn. So let me finish the airstrike, and then we can move on with the our ground movement.